Chicago, like most big cities, has its fair share of unsolved crime. And in most of these cases, somebody saw or heard something. It could be a suspicious person, a car driving away from the scene, or simply overhearing somebody talking about the case. With your help, we can put these criminals behind bars where they belong. Here in Chicago, we have too many unsolved murders. We need your help. In these cases, the police department is only as strong as the citizens that get involved. Oftentimes, all the detectives need is a tip, a start. Somebody to call in and say, I saw something. Any little information that you know can be the impetus to solve the entire case. On tonight's episode, we'll be featuring the case of Antoine Howard. On January 30th, 2017, Antoine Howard, a father of 5, was home with his kids playing video games. At some point that night, there was a knock at the front door. When Antoine went to answer the door, several shots were fired throughout the house, killing Antoine. Here's his story.
His dad's name was Anthony. I was gonna do Anthony Jr. I said no. So I picked Antoine. He was a little chubby, you know, he was just a little bubbly kid, always happy.
Well, he was energized, trying to do some of the things I do, you know, like most sons do.
I would go outside and play with Antoine. We would be playing like flag football, piggy stop.
The first thing you see is his smile. And he walk in the room and just smiling at everybody, and everybody greets him.
Like to smile, make people laugh, and he had a good heart.
When we connected, you know, via Facebook and start finding out that all of our family like knew each other from way back, we just couldn't believe it. It was like an old time friend. Like, I'm like, how did I never meet you, you know, during those years when we were kids? So the first time that we actually talked on the phone, we were on the phone for like 2.5 hours, just talking about old times and like family. We, you know, greeted each other with a big smile and a hug, and it was like, I don't know, at that very moment I knew, you know what I'm saying, like, I like this dude, we're gonna be together.
We are actually cousins, but we were known as like sisters and brothers. We were always dressed alike. His birthday is January 1st, mine is the 18th, so we were so-called twins, but we really wasn't twins.
Myrtle Beach was like our first trip together, chilling on the beach and just talking about our future and like, you know, what we expected out of life. And I think that we really, really connected on that first trip.
Lakers fan. He is a diehard Lakers fan.
When I tell you Lakers fan, Antoine was on the team.
He finally went to a game in California just recently.
They played Golden State and we went to see it in LA. And it was just an amazing time, like just to be at that game and know that that meant everything to him, you know what I'm saying? And me, you know, to be able to share that moment with him.
Antoine normally was involved in landscaping, and that's how he made money.
Working on houses, cutting grass, and every time I went over his house, he always working, doing some of the things I used to do. So I was proud of him.
Antoine was involved in his kids' lives. You know, he loved his children very much.
He had 5 kids, and he was close to them. He tried to do as much as he can.
2 girls and 3 boys, and he really cherished them from the bottom of his heart, and he was just there for them. There's nothing he wouldn't do for his children.
His whole life is about his kids. Everything that he sacrificed, it was all for his kids.
He would brag about how well they were doing. They were honor roll students, and you know how he wanted them to be successful. Everything that they learned, you know, as far as like being strong and confident, you know, young kids was all from their dad.
He has all their awards. He went to all the award ceremonies. He was very proud of his children.
I was hoping that we were going to get married at one point. I really believed that we were, and we were building towards that. And I'm just grateful that he loved me and he paid me so much attention.
Lake County Communications, what is the location of your emergency?
My dad got shot.
Who did?
Somebody in the house, he shot my head. Please help.
On January 30th, 2017, at about 9:18 p.m., Gary officers were dispatched to the 2600 block of Madison Street, reference to gunshots fired. When they arrived, they quickly got medical attention for the 9-year-old female who was shot at the scene, and then immediately did a protective sweep of the house. And while doing so, upon entry into the home, they immediately located Antoine Howard with a gunshot wound to the chest, lying in the living room.
In a heartbeat, tragedy can strike. An accident, a bad medical outcome, or a sudden death. If you or a loved one has been injured and someone else may be at fault, contact Craig Manarino and Amanda Brassfield today to discuss your legal options. For nearly 20 years, we have represented individuals and their families for injuries caused by carelessness and negligence. And now, we would like to help you. Call Craig and Amanda at 312-782-2573. Let us help you today.
On January 30th, 2017, at about 9:18 p.m., Gary officers were dispatched to the 2600 block of Madison Street, reference to gunshots fired. When they arrived, they quickly got medical attention for the 9-year-old female who was shot at the scene, and then immediately did a protective sweep of the house. And while doing so, upon entry into the home, they immediately located Antoine Howard with a gunshot wound to the chest, lying in the living room.
That morning, I got up. My sister texted me and said, "Mama's not feeling good today. She don't want to get up or walk, and just not doing well." So I called him, and he said, "Okay, Ma, I'll go with you."
At times, she might need help, lifting my grandma up, like taking her in the house. So Antoine was helping her this particular day.
And the first thing he came in and saw, "Hey, Grandma, what you doing?" That's what he would say to her, and she would just laugh. That was the last time that I saw my son.
We kicked it the whole day. He liked my cooking. I would make these pizzas, and he had said that I was going to sell these pizzas at one point because it was the best homemade pizza he had ever had. So I made him pizza that day. We had cookies. We sat up and watched TV. I actually took him home, and the last thing I remember is, we had such a good day. I was so, just like any other day, but it was just special this day because we enjoyed each other's time, and there was no arguments. Everything was just love and peace. And for whatever reason, I held his hand in the car. I'm just rolling with the moment, not realizing that that was going to be the last touch, the last time, that I would have seen Antoine.
He called me and he asked me, there was a dog in his house or something that he didn't know about. So he asked me about the dog. And I said I didn't know who dog it was. No one was there when he got home. He was home alone then. 7 or 8 o'clock, then the kids came in, the kids and the kid's mom. Around that time, I believe he was playing a game with his son.
I texted him probably an hour after that, and I said, "Hey, I had such a good time. I enjoyed all your company. You know what I'm saying? What you doing?" He didn't text back, probably like 40 minutes, but I didn't think anything of it because I know that normally he was going to go home. He had to cook dinner.
And then somebody came to the door or something, so he went to the door. I'm not sure if he went outside to see who it was or whatever, but that's
I believe Antoine opened the door, saw who was out there, saw what they had, and turned around to go back in. And before that solid glass screen door could shut, the round went through and hit him. Entry wound was in the back. It exited right below his heart.
He just heard a bunch of shots, my grandson said. And then I run upstairs, and my dad is laying on the ground, and these are the last words he said to my grandson. "They shot me."
Shiloh was laying in bed upstairs, and the bullet went through the front gable of the house and struck her in the abdomen. Antoine is near the back door, and he runs out of the house when he hears the shots fired. And he runs into the alleyway and starts running down the alley and calls 911.
His son called me screaming on the phone, and I felt it. I just felt something was wrong, and I couldn't understand what he was saying, but I felt it. And I knew immediately, so I called my sister and I was like, "Get over here with Mom, if something happened to my son."
On January 30th, 2017, at about 9:18 p.m., Gary police officers were dispatched to the 2600 block of Madison Street in reference to shots fired. Officers quickly responded. While they were en route, they were notified that there was a younger female shot, and an ambulance was on the way. And when they went in to clear the house, immediately going through the first two doors, they located Antoine Howard, who had a gunshot wound. At that time, it appeared through his left side of his chest, lying on his back in the living room floor just inside the second door to the house.
Tori's little friend called me because I couldn't understand what Tori was saying. His friend called me and said, Tori asked me to call you. He said his daddy is dead. My heart just dropped to the ground, and I was scared driving over there. I was hoping that it wasn't true, but I felt it.
I called one of my other aunts and was asking her what was going on, and she basically told me there around there Antoine got shot. And when they said Antoine got shot, I didn't think that he died. I just thought that he got shot and like he would make it. But then as the time went on, they was like, he didn't make it.
Get there and they wouldn't let me in the house, and asking, where's my son? They wouldn't let me see him. And at that moment, I was just mad. I was just mad because I know for a fact my son hadn't did anything to anybody for him to be treated like this, for someone to do this to him.
It was hard. I was nervous, speeding. I don't know. I know I got there and saw the lights. So I saw the body laying by the door. And I asked the police, was that him? And they said, yeah. And still just hoping that he was alive. And then I found out my granddaughter was shot too, and didn't know if she was alive.
The next phone call I actually got wasn't from him, it was his mom. And my stomach dropped when I saw that it was his mom calling, and I hadn't heard from him yet. I just had this feeling like that something wasn't right. And then she tells me, they've killed my son. It was the worst feeling that you could have ever felt in your entire life. Like my stomach totally sunk. I felt like life just went out of my body. I fell to the floor. It was just like a nightmare.
On January 30th, 2017, at about 9:18 p.m., Gary officers were dispatched to the 2600 block of Madison Street, reference to gunshots fired. When they arrived, they quickly got medical attention for the 9-year-old female who was shot at the scene, and then immediately did a protective sweep of the house. And while doing so, upon entry into the home, they immediately located Antoine Howard with a gunshot wound to the chest, lying in the living room. Multiple officers at once cleared the house, put up crime scene tape, keep everyone back, contact the Lake County Crime Scene Crime Lab. Miriam Robinson and her daughter, Shiloh, who was 9 years old and shot in the abdomen, were already transported to the Gary Methodist Hospital.
I just didn't know what to do. I was just scared.
It's just hard. It's hard to explain. It's just a hard feeling, your kid's gone.
And I asked him, I said, what happened, Tori, what happened? And he was trying to tell me some things, but he was so upset. He said, my dad didn't do anything to nobody. My dad didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve this. He didn't do nothing.
I think my whole body was shivering. I asked a girlfriend, my friend Nicole, to come with me, and she was trying to keep me calm, Tay, drive me. I was almost delirious. I couldn't believe that all of this is happening.
We do an initial search of the area around the house for any type of evidence that may be dropped during the commission of the crime. At that time, we found multiple casings in the street and in the front yard, and those were rifle casings. And then our investigation moves inside the house. It was noticeable that the rifle rounds had gone through the drywall, completely through the front wall of the house. There was drywall dust everywhere, broken glass. He had a very large glass mirror on his living room wall that was shattered. Within about 5 feet of his body, one of the investigators located a fully intact rifle round. It's nice to find a fully intact round that isn't completely mangled, because we can match it to past crimes, future crimes that are committed, and it's really good evidence in the long run.
Well, with his other brothers, it's real hard on them because they was real close, so they was tore up. One of my sons didn't even come to the funeral because, he was just messed up.
Cousins that and uncles that we have not seen over years, and they actually came to the funeral, and now it's like they're back in our lives. So it's like we lost Antoine, but at the same time he's still bringing family close together, and he don't even realize it.
So the day after the crime occurred, me and a few other detectives went out to the neighborhood, and we walked around canvassing the area, knocking on all the doors to try to find out maybe if anyone had any surveillance video of their own, or anybody actually saw anything for themselves. And we found a guy in the neighborhood who said that he saw a silver in color Tahoe circling the neighborhood just before the crime occurred. He also noted that he saw a black male with dreadlocks, about 5'6", 5'7", walking around the neighborhood, and that he was carrying something and it was wrapped up. And he wasn't quite sure what he had, but that he was in the neighborhood just before the crime occurred.
It's just hard. It's unbelievable. I don't think I've fathomed the fact that my son is gone yet.
You couldn't find like one enemy against Antoine, because all he did was promote positive, peaceful vibes, wants to bring everyone together. It's like unreal to me. It's like just not real. It's hard for me to accept.
At least when I did talk to my son, we always say we love each other, so at least I know that was the last words I heard from him.
I just feel so bad for my aunt. She went from having her grandkids every day, having her son in her life every day, to waking up to like nothing.
I had thought me and Antoine would be together forever, you know, that we were building a future together.
My life would never be the same. I'm always sad. It's just a hole in my heart. It's an empty space, and I just don't know what to do about it, you know. And it hurts more because he was murdered, and we don't have nobody in custody for it.
Hi, this is Lisette Guillen from Case Files Chicago. We'd like to get your unsolved homicide case on our show. If you have a case that needs to be solved, we'd love to help. If you have a case or know somebody who does have an unsolved homicide, please visit our website at www.casefileschicago.com. While you're there, you can also check out other unsolved homicides that need your help. Thank you, Chicago, and stay safe.
In a heartbeat, tragedy can strike. An accident, a bad medical outcome, or a sudden death. If you or a loved one has been injured and someone else may be at fault, contact Craig Manarino and Amanda Brassfield today to discuss your legal options. For nearly 20 years, we have represented individuals and their families for injuries caused by carelessness and negligence. And now, we would like to help you. Call Craig and Amanda at 312-782-2573. Let us help you today.
On January 30th, 2017, at about 9:18 p.m., Gary officers were dispatched to the 2600 block of Madison Street, reference to gunshots fired. When they arrived, they quickly got medical attention for the 9-year-old female who was shot at the scene, and then immediately did a protective sweep of the house. And while doing so, upon entry into the home, they immediately located Antoine Howard with a gunshot wound to the chest, lying in the living room.
I drive to his home every day, and I just sit outside. I just sit outside, and I just look, and I just remember, you know, him coming up and down the stairs, and I go to his grave almost every day, you know, because I miss him so hard.
It's important for people to come forward with information in this case. Antoine Howard was a decent guy. He was loved by his family. His mother and father love him greatly. They call me weekly wanting to know if I have any information on this case. You can tell they're very bothered by it, and they want to see it solved. I want to see it solved.
I can't really grieve right now yet because I don't know what happened. Everybody I see, you know, I be like, I wonder is that who did it?
He's such a lovable guy, lovable. Has so many friends, so many people love him. It's like, who would want to hurt him?
Any little tip, even if you think in your mind that it's not gonna matter, it matters, because it could just be one little thing, you know, that's missing at the case, you know, to help solve who did this to Antoine.
It would mean everything in the world to me if we could catch the people that's responsible, then I will be able to start my grieving process.
We did a canvass of the neighborhood and we located a witness who stated that he saw a silver Tahoe circling the neighborhood and also saw a man on foot who he described as a black male in his mid or early 20s with dreadlocks, about 5'7" to 5'8", and that he had a light or mid complexion. The witness also stated that the black male on foot with the dreadlocks was carrying something, and it appeared like he was concealing something within his arms, and he was using a hoodie to do it, and that he was wearing all black clothing.
You know, Antoine was really big into crime investigative shows. He watched these shows. He was like a prime person to think of how to solve a case. So like if it's any little information that you would have, you know, that would help, this would be him shining bright right now, smiling that you would call in with any little bit of information that you had.
Please, if anybody have any information, you can remain anonymous. It just would mean so much to me and my family and his kids.
You know, just do the right thing and tell, because it could have been your son.
I just want to let them know I don't hate you. I forgive you, but you know you were wrong, and you please need to turn yourself in.
I just wish that you could turn yourself in and give this family some type of closure, because I'm sure he didn't do anything to deserve this.
That was just totally unfair. It's unfair to me, it's unfair to his family, it's unfair to his kids, it was unfair to him, and I would just hope that you would turn yourself in, and then maybe you can have some type of life and not spend the rest of your eternity in hell.
Anybody with any information, no matter how small it is, please call 755-3855, and that's 219-755-3855, and you can ask for Detective Jeremy Ogden, or any of the detectives at Lake County Metro Homicide can take your call and your information, and I'll get back with you. And remember that no matter how small you think the detail is, the smallest things solve the biggest crimes.
And I just wish we could have even spent more time together. It's like life is not promised. I love him and I miss him.
Oh my God, I love you so much. You just give him a big hug and just hold him forever.
I tell him I love him, and then I would just tell him I wish we would have spent a little bit more time together.
We just want a resolution in this, you know, to feel that someone cares and that the truth has come out for Antoine. That's what he deserved.
We just need the closure. We just need closure.
The cases featured on tonight's episode remain unsolved, and we need your help. If you have any information on tonight's episode or any of the cases featured on the show, please give the detectives a call. We need our communities to come together so we can take back our streets and make our neighborhoods safe again.